Good morning, students. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let everybody join and we'll start our lecture. I think Joban Deep is speaking. Kindly
Yes, ma'am.
mute your this Zoom audio.
Correct.
Good morning, students. We'll be starting in 2 minutes just because everybody joining this class and few people are joining. Just wait and we'll start our lecture on the topic is multi-tenancy, Amazon Web Services. We'll talk about Amazon Web Services and um, all the concepts related to how we can have Amazon, we can avail the services, what are the various services, how we can gain access to these services, as well as we'll talk about APIs. APIs in cloud computing. That is another, we can say another slide. Uh, Apart from this slide, we'll talk about this or that thing also, if there will be time left. Just because we have prepared accordingly for 2 hours, we'll be starting with multi-tenancy. So, first of all, what is multi-tenancy? Multi-tenancy refers to resource sharing in cloud computing. Um, how we share the resources in multi-tenancy environment depends on whether we are First of all, we should know how this differs from the single tenant and the multi-tenant. The concept is very much clear here that in case of multi-tenancy, there are a number of users accessing to the same shared location. That means in case of multi-tenancy refers to resource sharing in cloud computing, in which we can, like, you all are using the services of cloud, any cloud, like the cloud you are, you have joined, like you have may have taken services from mi cloud or iCloud and or any such kind of cloud. So in that way you are using the services of a multi-tenant service provider. So that is the basic concept. Multi-tenancy allows people to share resources from the shared space, to use resources from the shared space. So it refers to resource sharing in cloud computing. It is a natural result of trying to achieve economic gain in cloud computing by utilizing virtualization and allowing resource sharing. Multi-tenancy is a natural result. Why it is called a natural result? Whenever you are utilizing or applying virtualization concept, you are offering your virtualization concept not to a single person. Like if you are installing some kind of guest operating system on some machine, suppose, that means what you are doing is you are giving tenancy that in my physical system you are allowing somebody to reside, allowing somebody to use my physical system. But if you are giving it access to a single person, that concept is called single tenancy, because you are giving access to a single person. Multi-tenancy means whenever you are giving access to more than one person. So uh, it is a natural result of trying to achieve economic gain. Economic gain here means that you want to earn money in cloud computing. You want that every kind of people who want to store anything, who want to utilize the services of my infrastructure or my platform as a service or my software as a service or my organization can have utilize these things, can have access to these services, and that is only possible if we have a single shared space. Single shared space means in a single shared space we have infrastructure as a service, we have infrastructure as a service, and we are sharing space. We are sharing space. This is a shared space, suppose, and I have created, this is a shared space, and I have created a cloud. Suppose I have created a cloud, and this is the space available in the multi-tenancy environment. This is being shared by different clients. This is a space that is shared by different clients. So such kind of environment where a shared space is being used by different clients from different we can say virtual machines, that is called a multi-tenancy environment. But if these all the clients or all the virtual machine belongs to a single customer, belongs to a
Hello,
single customer or tenant, then this
hello,
environment will be called as single
hello,
tenant
ma'am.
environment.
Hello,
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 hello, can you hear me?
hello.
Hello, can you hear me? Is I am audible to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so multi-tenancy is basically concept of virtualization plus the resource sharing. It is not only a concept of virtual resource sharing. We can share the resources, we can give our resources to somebody, but that will not be the concept of multi-tenancy. The multi-tenancy concept applies when we have done virtualization of our physical machines. Physical machines are virtualized, and with those physical machines, what we are doing is we are combining resource sharing of those physical machines. The result will be a multi-tenant environment. Suppose you have a system, you have a PC or you have a laptop, but on that laptop you are installing some other software. On your window laptop you are dual booting or some installing some kind of yeah, we can say VMware. That kind of concept will be called as single tenant, because you are installing on a physical machine one virtual machine, and that is being used by a single person. So that kind of concept will be called as single tenant. In case if a single machine is being shared by a number of users that belongs to different we can say uh, company, that concept is called multi-tenancy, which allows sharing of resources, which allows the concept of virtualization plus sharing of resources. That thing will be called as multi-tenancy. So it is a natural result of trying to achieve economic growth. If we are not allowing people to share the space, that will result in creating a number of clouds. And if we are not doing virtualization, we are not able to develop a cloud up to the level that we are to develop. Like we want to achieve higher efficiency with the simple infrastructure and economic growth. Economic growth is only possible if we have multi-talent environment that allows resource sharing. That is the basic concept here. Kindly class be on time. Some of the students are very late. So you can see in the figure here, I'm showing you on the screen, on your computer screen. This is the multi-tenant environment, and this green is customer one, this yellow is customer two, and blue is customer three. And you can see here that host hardware we have installed hypervisor. On the host hardware we have installed hypervisor. It may be hypervisor 1 or hypervisor 2. We have discussed what is hypervisor 1 and what is hypervisor 2, how they differ from each other. And after the installation of hypervisor, we have configured virtual machines VM1, VM2, VM3, and VM4. And with these machines, you can see in the diagram here, they are occupied by different customers. Customer 1, customer 2, customer 3. Blue is customer 3, customer 2, yellow, and green is with the customer 1. So that kind of environment is called multi-tenant environment. And in the other case, you can see there are more than one machine, virtual machine on the single PC, but they are occupied by a single tenant. So that concept is called single tenancy. So if we are not giving or sharing machines to other persons, then we are not utilizing the infrastructure, we are not utilizing the other aspects of platform as a service as well as software. We cannot have that much we can say we can extract what we want to extract without multi-tenancy. So multi-tenancy is must. We cannot deny that we cannot have multi-tenant, and this will result in some kind of security issues, because with the pace with the pace we are moving towards cloud, we should have a multi-tenant environment in which different resources are being shared and utilized by customers. In a software as a service, so multi-tenancy can be possible in infrastructure as a service, in platform as a service, in software as a service. Like we are using Gmail and we know we are utilizing software as a service. In software as a service, applications are provided as a service by the cloud service provider. We know that every kind of application is provided by cloud service provider, where the customer cannot monitor or control the underlying infrastructure. If I am the customer and I'm utilizing some kind of service, like I am logging into Gmail and utilizing the services, so I don't have a control on the infrastructure. I cannot monitor or control the underlying infrastructure there. So that concept multi-tenancy means that two or more customers utilize the same service or application provided by the cloud service provider regardless of the underlying resources. So we are not aware of the underlying resources, how they are shared, how they are utilized, what kind of resources I am using, how they are coming from where they are coming from, and from which data center I am my data is being stored. If I am storing or utilizing the services of Gmail, I am not aware where the server is located, where I am storing my things on the Gmail, or I am utilizing the services of the Gmail or any kind of software as a service application. So this is another example you can see in the diagram also. Here there is a database, and you can see every single database is being used, having an application is being used by a single tenant. This database is having an application is being dwelled on the database, and this is used by a single tenant. Here you can see another application, this is another application, but here you can see a single application is being shared by a multi-tenant, multiple people, and that environment is called multi-tenant environment. Now, infrastructure as a service. In infrastructure as a service, where the customer is kindly be on time, class is not on time, and every time have to log in to join the student. In infrastructure as a service, where the customer is capable of provisioning, computing, and networking resources, can control but cannot manage the underlying infrastructure. We can provision them the computing using the infrastructure. We can provision them the storing capabilities using the infrastructure. We can give them the network resources, but we cannot control the underlying infrastructure. Multi-tenancy occurs when two or more virtual machines belong to different customers that shares the same physical machine. So if you feel like, if I'll say uh, there are more than two machines, two physical machines, like, and they are being used by different people, that environment will not be called as multi-tenancy. Suppose there is a machine, physical machine 1, and this is physical machine 2, and on that we have installed virtual machines. यहाँ पे we can say the C1 is the customer here, C1 customer, C1 customer, C2, C3, C4. If this is using the service and this is using the service, this is not multi-tenancy, because this is a single machine that is used by this customer. But in case of, you can see here, this is a multi-tenancy concept, or we can say infrastructure. If the machines belong to different customer, we cannot say that they are sharing the same physical machine, because this machine is different, this machine is it, they are not sharing the same physical machine. So that will not be multi-tenancy. This will be a multi-tenancy, this will be a single tenancy, we can see. So always remember, multi-tenancy can be possible in infrastructure as a service, or a platform as a service, or software as a service. What is unique about multi-tenancy in cloud? See, before that there was multi-tenancy has brought different arguments in cloud computing. People prefer that there should be a concept called multi-tenancy, but on the other hand, some of the developers feel that we should not avail multi-tenancy concept just because of the security issues, because security experts feel that multi-tenancy is, we can say, leads to vulnerability. Even though security experts agree that multi-tenancy is a vulnerability that could lead to confidentiality being exposed, they vary in providing the solution for such vulnerability. So on the one side, we want that multi-tenancy should be there, and on the other side, we feel that if there is multi-tenancy, that system, that machine, those machines, or that shared space will be vulnerable because of the security attacks to our data. So it we are to negotiate, or we between the security as well as the efficiency of the system. So what is unique about multi-tenancy is that if compute if the attacker and the victim are sharing the same server. Computing is basically if the attacker and the victim are sharing the same server or the same physical machine, such a setup cannot be mitigated by traditional security techniques and measures simply because it is not designated to penetrate inside servers and their monitoring techniques are limited to the network layer. So if you are sharing space with somebody and other person is the attacker and you are the user, and you have a single physical machine or single physical server, the both the persons are using that single machine, such a setup cannot be mitigated by traditional security techniques. We know that we have very traditional security techniques, but these techniques may not apply to the cloud computing multi-tenancy security simply because it is not designated to penetrate inside servers and their monitoring techniques are limited to the network layer. Because why it is not possible to penetrate inside? Because the traditional security techniques are only for monitoring and they are limited to the network layer. That is the basic concept here. Moving further, is there any question related to that? Ma'am, PPT is not showing on screen, not audible. Can you hear me right now? Am I audible to everybody in the class?
Yes, ma'am.
Except Gagandeep Kaur and Sumit Kumar Jha, because Sumit has some network issues related. Ram Manohar, ma'am, PPT is not visible. PPT is visible or not?
No, ma'am.
No? I hope it is visible to everybody.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Let me see what is the concern here, why it is not visible. Now you can see. Can you see anything on the screen?
No, ma'am.
Is it visible to everybody or not? Can you see the screen, the board as well as the screen? Can you see screen now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what I have discussed, we'll discuss again in 2 minutes and complete the topic called multi-tenancy. Multi-tenancy refers to the resource sharing in cloud computing. Multi-tenancy is a natural result trying to achieve economic growth. Why we are into multi-tenancy environment nowadays? Every cloud service provider is looking for multi-tenancy. And just because to gain economic gain means to increase the worth, increase the market share in the cloud computing sector by every kind of company, whether it's IBM, Google, or Amazon Web Services, or Microsoft Azure. Multi-tenancy can only be achieved using the concept called virtualization. Suppose if we are not having the concept called virtualization, we are not able to install more than virtual one. We cannot install virtual machine on the physical machine. So virtualization concept introduces the concept called multi-tenancy. So with multi-tenancy, with the concept called virtualization, we are able to share the resources among number of peoples. Virtualization allow us to have access to the data to a single person, as well as virtualization allow access to the shared resources. So when virtualization resource sharing is possible, that concept is called multi-tenancy. Virtualization plus resource sharing is equal to multi-tenancy. It is the same in it. We can say it in the same way that, like, if we have multiple tenants in our home, we are having a home, and the tenants are more than one. If there is a single tenant, all the space, all the rooms are being given to that particular tenant, that will be called as single tenant. But if there are three rooms and they are given to the three different people, that concept is called multi-tenancy. And that is what we are doing in the cloud computing to earn more, because there will be three customers, then the three customer will be giving us the generating help us in generating the revenue related to the cloud computing market. So that is the basic concept. So this is a diagram that I was showing to you that you are not able to see, and nobody messaged me regarding that they are not able to see. This is the screen. You can see here, this is a multi-tenant versus single tenant, and you can see on the screen that this is virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2, virtual machine 3, and virtual machine 4. All these machines, all these things, virtual machine 1 is shared by a customer 1, and virtual machine 2 and 3 and 4 are shared by the other customers. This kind of concept is called multi-tenant concept. But in the other figure here, you can see on the right side that this is a single tenant. Why this is single tenant? Because all the rooms, all the virtual machines are being used by a single customer. Though there are 4 machines, but the customer is single. From the customer, we mean the organization or the company who is utilizing the services of the cloud service provider. So that is the basic concept here. What is the difference between a single tenant or a multi-tenant? So next concept is, we have studied about the service models like infrastructure as a service, software as a service, and platform as a service. We'll talk about multi-tenancy related to software as a service first. In software as a service, applications are provided as a service by the cloud service provider, where the customer can monitor or control the underlying infrastructure. Here, multi-tenancy means that two or more customers utilize the same service or application provided by the cloud service provider, regardless of the underlying resources. Like if I am using Gmail, and most of you are, or everybody in the class may be using Gmail or Yahoo Mail or any kind of such mail. First of all, that kind of mail is basically a software as a service. Gmail is a software as a service that we are utilizing, and it is on the cloud. On which cloud? On the Google cloud. Now we are not aware of the underlying resources or the underlying hardware, but it is being used by multiple tenants, because number of people have account on the Gmail or the Yahoo Mail. That concept is called multi-tenancy in the software as a service concept. And the cloud service provider is providing the service for multi-tenancy, utilize using those services. But keeping in mind that customer cannot monitor or control the underlying infrastructure. The underlying infrastructure for Gmail or Yahoo, we cannot control that, these things. I hope everybody is now able to hear my voice as well as can see on the screen. So this is also another diagram representing single tenant and multiple tenant. There are three different applications, and these three different applications are being used by different tenants single-handedly. So that concept is called single tenant. On the other hand, on the right side, you can see that this concept is called multi-tenancy. This concept is called multi-tenancy. You can see on the screen here that is, this application is being shared by three different people. So that concept is called multi-tenancy. Now you can see on the screen as well as, am I audible to everybody? Kindly reply.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now in infrastructure as a service, In infrastructure as a service, we know that we are providing the infrastructure where the customer is capable of provisioning computing, storing, and networking resources and cannot control. You can provision if you are given if you are a customer and you are taking infrastructure as a service. That means you can do computing, you can store the things on those devices, on on those virtual machines, you can network those devices, but you cannot control, but cannot manage the underlying infrastructure. You have not control over the infrastructure they have set up for multi-tenancy. So we can say multi-tenancy occurs when two or more virtual machines belonging to different customers share the same physical machine. In case if we are having infrastructure as a service, if we are utilizing the infrastructure as a service, even then we cannot control the basic infrastructure that has been set up to achieve the cloud computing or virtualization or multi-tenancy. We can use only computing, storing, networking features related to the virtual machines they have set up for us. As I already told you that this multi-tenancy have brought different arguments in cloud computing. Some developers feel that multi-tenancy uh, should be promoted, and other feels that it will lead to uh, security lapse, or we can security expert feel that it is they are uh, the things are vulnerable, the data is vulnerable for theft or any kind of loss. Even though security experts agree that multi-tenancy is vulnerability that could lead to confidentiality being exposed, they vary in providing the solution for such vulnerability. So even the security expert feel that they have such kind of solutions or parameter in which they can secure our data, but every security expert has different view regarding preventing the loss of data or of data every different way. So cloud computing is unique in the way that in a multi-tenancy environment, there may be possibility that the attacker as well as the customer may share the common space. And in that case, if the attacker and the customer are sharing a common space, such kind of system is difficult to handle. Why this is difficult to handle? Such a setup cannot be mitigated by traditional security techniques and measures, simply because it is not designed to penetrate inside the servers, and their monitoring techniques are limited to a network layer. So that concept is there that attacker and the person can share the same physical space for resources. Please tell Nikhilesh that he cannot join now. He is half an hour late, more than half an hour. Now, next concept is Amazon Web Services and cloud computing. We know that we all are utilizing the various services related to Amazon. Earlier, it was just a box that is busy in, we can say, um, a kind of marketing company, Amazon.com. Now, what you can do is you can have Amazon and can take various services like storage, content delivery, development and management tool, etc. Before that, I want to have a quiz with you. I am launching this poll and kindly answer these questions. Which one is true? Virtualization plus resource sharing is equal to multi-tenancy, or virtualization plus multi-tenancy is equal to resource sharing. So from the other question, dash means that two or more customers utilize the same services or applications provided by cloud service provider regardless of the underlying resources. Answer these questions. All are required to answer these questions. Kindly, I am ending my poll in 5 seconds. This poll in 5 seconds. Kindly answer these questions. So, first of all, I'm ending the poll here. Which one is true? Uh, Virtualization plus resource sharing is equal to multi-tenancy. That is our answer, and 87% of students have answered this question correctly. Next is dash means that two or more customer utilizes the same services or applications provided by the cloud service provider, regardless of the underlying resources. So in that case, multi-tenancy is the answer to this question. So moving further, next is the next topic that we were doing was about Amazon, and I already told you that we are utilizing the services of Amazon.com in the way that we are buying and selling on those sites. Now, what is Amazon web services and how that is different from the Amazon.com is the basic concept, but how this change comes is uh, in the previous in the we can in few past years, Amazon.com was into this kind of shopping site, or we can say into marketing. But with the market growth, this Amazon.com moves towards the Amazon web services. Now, what is web services and what is the difference between this is they have utilized, basic concept is they have utilized the infrastructure of Amazon.com towards the web services, because uh, the company owner, or we can say the stakeholder, feel that the infrastructure they have developed for this marketing site, for this shopping site, was not fully utilized uh, because of the one reason or the other, where we can say the full utilization of infrastructure was not possible. I'm not audible, ma'am. Do something. Am I audible to everybody now?
Yes, ma'am.
So, with the passage of time, they have used that infrastructure they have established for Amazon.com into Amazon Web Services. The various web services or applications that are available on the Amazon are like content delivery, networking, messaging, storage, Amazon compute services, database services. And in these services like content delivery, networking, messaging, storage, compute, database services, and any kind of payment services or development and management tools, there are different applications available in the Amazon. Like we have for content delivery, we have Amazon Cloud Front, and for networking concept, like we are hiring machines, virtual machines, but we want to connect those virtual machines for our organization. So in that case, what we can do is we can have elastic load balancing. That is basic concept here, elastic load balancing. Amazon virtual private cloud can be possible using networking. In messaging services like Amazon Simple Queue services can be utilized, and Amazon simple notification service can also be utilized for messaging. And for storage, that is very popular service and is being used by many organizations. Like you must be knowing of SlideShare. Whenever you want to search any topic, you search that topic, and that is provided by SlideShare in the search criteria. So SlideShare is an organization that is using the services of the Amazon Simple Storage Service. They are storing every kind of slide or PPT on the Amazon Simple Storage Service. Like they are utilizing these services right now. Amazon Elastic Block Storage, Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, and Amazon Elastic MapReduce. These are the compute services. From the compute services, we mean these services provide some kind of virtual machines for any kind of computing work. Whether you want to have, you will get a fully configured virtual machine using these services. Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, EC2, Amazon Elastic Block Storage, Amazon Elastic MapReduce. These are the three compute services that are available. And apart from that, we have a Amazon Simple DB service that is with the database. This is not a single service. I'll show you on the Amazon website after this slide, that these services, products, and every kind of things are available in detail, and the criteria for using that particular service is also provided on that very website, and with the payment option, like whether they are payable, whether they are microservices, whether they are macro service, but which machine will cost, how much, and everything related to that. And in the database category, we have Amazon Simple DB, Amazon Relational Database Service, RDS, and some other services like development and management tools like AWS Toolkit for Eclipse, AWS Management Console for managing the and developing tools. Next is the payment options. Like Amazon is also providing the payment services like Amazon Flexible Payment Service, on-demand workforce like Mechanical Turk. So these are some of the services that are shown in this slide, but these services are not limited to this slide. This slide covers only the limited popular services. Amazon is growing every day. Every day new services are coming and being utilized, being availed by millions of customers across the globe. So the history is that over 12 years in the making, enablement of sellers on Amazon, internal need for scalable development environment, early forays provided developers were hungry for more, not a model to utilize excess retail capacity. So this is not a model to utilize excess retail capacity. Basically, it has taken about 12 years in establishing Amazon Web Services, what it is now today. Next is AWS mission. Enable businesses and developers to use web services to build scalable, sophisticated applications. So basic mission of the AWS is to enable businesses and developers. Like we know that there are many organizations, there are many startups, and they are looking for the site as well as for infrastructure. But what Amazon provides is, Amazon will say you that you need not to have worry about the infrastructure, you need not to worry about the platform, you need not to buy the license software. Will provide you everything, will provide you the infrastructure, will provide you the platform. You can develop web services that are scalable, and you can also have hands-on experience on the sophisticated application using the Amazon Web Services. So in the global footprints, we can say 1 million active customers across 190 countries are connected with the Amazon. 900 plus government agencies, 3,400 plus educational institutions, 11 regions, and 29 availability zones, like, and 1 to 6 data centers. So Amazon consider 1 to 6 data centers of their own and 53 edge locations. So you can imagine 1 million active customers are connected with the Amazon across the globe. 190 countries are using the services of Amazon, 900 plus government agencies. That means a lot. Every day, AWS adds enough new server capacity to support Amazon.com when it was a $7 billion global enterprise. So having 29 availability zones and regions, you can see on the screen here, this orange part represents the zone and this blue part represents the edges that are there in the globe. Now, Amazon is Amazon AWS is into providing various services. So having a number of service will be we can say we can measure in the form of depth as well as those services in the form of breadth. So the service breadth and depth is shown in this diagram. In this slide here you can see the technical and business support, enterprise applications, platform services, administration and security, core services, and infrastructure. If we move towards the depth, the basic layer will be called as infrastructure. This is the infrastructure. So in the infrastructure layer of the Amazon, you can see that the various regions, availability zones are there, and point of presence of the Amazon services. Uh, if we move toward the core services, that core services that are provided by Amazon, they are related to compute services. Like compute means virtual machines, and other core services include storage, networking services, databases services. If we move upward, the other layer from the infrastructure to the core services, next layer is administration and security services. Like identity management, we'll talk about identity management and how we can have identity management. What is the basic concept and protocols? Next is access control. Number 3, uh, resource and usage auditing, key management and storage, monitoring and logs. These are all are the administration and security services that are provided by Amazon for the clients, for the customer, for the people, for the organizations. Now the platform services. There are so many platform services available like analytics, application services, developer tools and operations, and mobile services. In the analytics, you can have Hadoop analytics, real-time streaming of data, data warehouse, data pipelines. In the application services like queuing and notification, transcoding, emailing, workflow, application streaming, search. And developer tools and operation services include deployment, containers, resource templates, application lifecycle management, and some event-driven computing. About moving towards the mobile services, we have identity, mobile analytics, push notification, syncing facility, and such kind of mobile services are available. And these all services are from the analytics towards the mobile services are part of the platform services. Now moving upward, enterprise applications are providing virtual desktops for the enterprises, sharing and collaboration, and enterprise business email addresses that are also provided by the Amazon. Next is the upper or technical and business supports. The upper layer, that is basically support services, professional services, partner ecosystem. The Amazon provides training and certification to the people who want to join or the Amazon web service, or who want to we can say have uh, develop application on the Amazon AWS, solution architects, account management, security and pricing reports. These are some of the services that comes under the heading of technical and business support that is being provided by the Amazon. So you can see here, this is the depth, and you can imagine the basic layer is the infrastructure, and then is the core services, then is the security layer, and after infrastructure, this green uh, belt here. Infrastructure is the platform services, and from the platform services, the upper layer contains the business and technical support, email, etc. that are part of the software as a service. So you can very well imagine the architecture of AWS here. This is the infrastructure shown here, that these are the platform services, and this represent the software services, software as a service. So do Amazon do provide many expensive services, but not just the expensive services. They provide much deeper features, like we can have in the compute, storage, relational databases, auditing, security and compliance, the various services like general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimization, GPU optimized services, storage optimized services, low cost or IO optimized services. In case of storage, we have very deep featured services like elastic block store, magnetic and general purpose SSD service, provisioned IOPs, object storage, lifecycle management, event triggering, data locality control, elastic file system, POSIX compliant. Next is the relational database deeper feature, MySQL on RDS, SQL Server on RDS, Oracle or on RDS, Aurora, a AZ synchronization, or PostgreSQL, read replica support, auditing and security and compliance, configuration history, change notifications, usage audit logs, and customer control and dedicated HSM as services. So these are the deep services that are being provided in detail to the various organizations and customer by the Amazon Web Services. This is one of the example given of the AWS region, one of 11 AWS worldwide, one of 11 AWS worldwide AWS regions. Out of 11, one is of the AWS region. Redundant part to transit centers. There are redundant part to transit centers. Transit centers connect to private links to the other AWS regions where there are transit centers connecting to various AWS regions. Private links to AWS direct connect customer. Metro area links between AWS zones, uh, fiber strand regions, and all this is related to some of the speed topic that is with the AWS regions. Why availability zones? Why we have so much availability zone in the Amazon Web Services? The challenges with the traditional asynchronous replication between the distance data centers, committing to SSD order 1 to 2 milliseconds, traditional failure, difficult decisions. We know that traditionally there were more failures. To avoid those failures, the availability zones are more, and they provide that we can say non-failure of some zones, or we can say if there is a failure, they can hand over the control to the other zones. Such kind of facilities, failover or lost transaction, or any kind of uh, problem can be solved using the uh, data center replicas. Next is AWS availability zone. These are the some of the data centers shown here in the diagram, and these are the availability zone. AZ represent the availability zone and transit zone. Transit zone means that these availability zones are connected to some of the transit ways with which they can interact with the availability zones. So data centers in age availability zone less than 1/4 of a millisecond apart. They are 1/4 millisecond apart in the data center in the availability zone. All regions have 2 or more EC2 availability zones. One of the 28 availability zones worldwide. Each availability zone is one or more data center. No data center is in 2 availability zone. So always remember one thing, that there are more than no two data center are in the single availability zone. Some availability zones has as many as 6 data centers. So this was related to the physical availability of the available zones, data centers, and how these transfer the information, how transition is possible in the availability zone, that is shown with the in the form of an example. This is also an example of AWS data center. You can see single data center typically more than 50,000 servers. So in a single data center, there are more than 50,000 servers located, and often more than 80,000. Large data centers under undesirables. Up to 102 Tbps provisioned a single data center, AWS custom network equipment, and these are something related to networking, and you need not to remember these things. You should have only knowledge about related to AWS data center availability zone, their transition, and the number of server in a single data center. Before moving further, we'll have another poll so that we can discuss uh, question related to that. I hope that everybody can answer this question. This is very simple question. Kindly answer this question from security aspect, which is vulnerability. I'm ending this poll. Uh, from security aspect, which is vulnerability, multi-tenancy is one vulnerability, no doubt about it. Multi-tenancy leads to security issues in the cloud computing. Next topic is U and AWS. U and AWS means that how you can interact with the AWS and what are your responsibilities for security with the AWS, how you and AWS can share responsibilities. In the AWS environment, you can see here AWS global infrastructure. We have uh, regions, availability zones, and edge locations. In this AWS global infrastructure, that is established by the AWS organization. On that, they are offering foundation services. From the foundation services, we mean the core services that we have in the AWS. And these foundation or the core services uh, are provided by the AWS and utilized by the customer, but there are security issues in those services. So, who is taking care of these AWS services? Uh, they are being taken care by the AWS security compliance, as well as by the customer on the other side. But what kind of customer content is secure, stored by the AWS, and what kind of customer content is uh, kept by the AWS? So first of all, we know that the core services include compute, storage, and database and networking. And I have explained to you what are the various compute services, what are the various storage services like uh, Amazon S3 services, simple storage services, or EC2 services like elastic block storage, EBS, and database services we know, and networking services. Apart from that, Amazon mission is to have network security, server security, data security, and access control. These are the some of the things, the security issues that are there in the Amazon: network security, server security, data security, and access control. You need to define your controls in the cloud. So it is the customer responsibility, data security, access control, server security, and network security. It is the responsibility of the customer as well as the AWS. Why responsibility of the customer as well as AWS? Things like if you are giving your username and password to somebody, and they may be using your username and password deliberately, you are giving your username and password, you cannot say that my data is not protected by the AWS. That is the concept. So why, that is why it is called a share responsibility. You have deliberately given to the other person or the organization, and now you are saying that my organization data got leaked, on got theft, is got lost. It is just because it is a shared responsibility, and there are protocols defined for defined to find out where there is we can say a lapse in the uh, service agreement, or we can say security agreement. So network security, whether it's a network security, server security, data security, or access control, it is a duty of the customer as well as and the Amazon Web Services to provide a to take over the responsibility on the both sides. So that is shown here, that customer applications and content lie here above this: network security, server security, data security, and access control. This is the Gartner Magic Quadrant in the past year that is shown here. Gartner is a researcher that shows the basic trends of various we can say various uh, fields in the computer science as well as in the other field that are growing, and Gartner predict the future trends of a particular kind of interest of public, or we can people or researchers or the organizations. So in this diagram in 2011, the challenges, here you can see the what are the various challenges. What, so you can see here the Amazon Web Services was very much little developed in 2011. With the passage of here you can see these are the challengers, these are the leaders shown here in the diagram, and these are the some of the visionaries shown here, and these are the players. In the 2012, you can see the challengers are we can see got limited. The challenges are limited, and in leader Amazon Web Services emerged as a leader in 2012. And here you can see the visionaries, the like Rackspace and Virtual Stream is shown here in the 2012. In 2013, Amazon Web Services developed as a full-fledged leader. And with the 2014, all those people who were criticizing or challenging these Amazon Web Services lag behind those the, lag behind the Amazon Web Service in 2014. And we know what is the trend today in 2020. It was told that by 2020, the distinction between the public and private cloud disappears as self-built private cloud become extinct. People will not have their private cloud because they will take the services of Amazon for various things, for various purpose. They will not develop their own kind of cloud or private cloud. So cloud become self-built private clouds become extinct with the passage of time. Nikhilesh, is there any issue or you are not able to hear or you cannot understand? If there is an issue, kindly type in the chat window.
Taran has been disconnected. Will you please add
I
him back?
know Taran joined very late every time in the lecture. That is why he is not disconnected. He has not joined actually.
Ma'am, no, he was connected. He has asked you to let me in earlier. Due to uh, internet connection, he has been disconnected.
So So you can see on the screen here, this is a changing phase of enterprise information technology. You can see the SaaS, public clouds, and private cloud, the and on-premise development. You can see the this private cloud with the passage of time is getting extinct in the 2020. This is, you can see the screen on the screen here, this is becoming extinct in 2020 just because the concept of developing a private cloud is no longer existing just because this of the availability of so much of the services by the market leaders like Amazon Web Services or another leaders like IBM Cloud, Google Cloud, or Microsoft Azure Cloud. No doubt the leader is only one, and that is the Amazon Web Services. Expansive ecosystem, yeah. In Amazon Web Services, this is totally an expansive ecosystem. Thousands of the world's largest technology and consulting companies are joining. 31 global prem, premier consulting partners are there, 8 enterprise focused competencies, 2100 plus products available for one click deployment across 23 distinct product categories. Customer run over 70 million hours of software per month. Can you imagine 70 million hours of software are run per month in the AWS? What sets AWS apart? Experience, service breadth and depth, pace of innovation, global footprint, pricing philosophy. So, if a question comes in your paper and you are asked why you will prefer or why you want to have services, why you want to take the services Amazon, you can say because of these features like experience, service breadth and depth, pace of innovation, global footprint, pricing philosophy, and ecosystem. Because of these, you can uh, uh, you want to take the Amazon Web Services as a service provider. Experience is building in and managing cloud since 2006. Uh, Service breadth and depth, we have discussed the service breadth and depth, 40 plus services to support any cloud workload. Pace of innovation, history of rapid customer driven releases. Global footprints, we know that it is globally available everywhere. In 190 countries are connected with the Amazon Web Services and taking services from the AWS. Pricing philosophy is that many of the services are free services that are being provided by AWS for the single person or we can say for the startups. For a large organization, the macro services are the paid services, but there are some price reductions available time to time in the Amazon Web Services. Next is ecosystem. Thousands of partner, 2100 plus AWS marketplace products. So you can imagine 2100 plus a available marketplace products in the Amazon Web Services. So these are, we can say, the features of AWS that set apart from the other cloud service provider like Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, IBM Cloud. Now we'll discuss these services and their lab introduction. From the lab introduction, how we can have access to AWS. We have discussed the growth of AWS from the 2002 Amazon associate to the Amazon Web Services. In 2002, it was only a simple Amazon.com website. And you can imagine in 2016, there was a S3 service that is called Simple Storage Service. In 2000 came that EC2 service, that is Elastic Compute Cloud 2, that is called EC2. With passage of time, they developed the other services like Simple DB, ELB, RDS services. With 2012 come the DynamoDB and other databases. With now 2020, that has grown to a larger. Uh, um, uh, they have left a global footprint. Um, so component A want to send component B some message that can be sent through the Amazon Web Services, and that can be shown here in the diagram. AWS Simple Queue Service, that is this Simple Queue Service fostered decoupled service oriented architecture of message passing. This is developers can move data between the distributed component of their application. The simple moving of data between distributed component that perform different tasks without losing messages or requiring each component to be always available. So whether their components are available or not, even then through Amazon Web Services, you can send the data. This is a graph from the 2016 to 2012. Now 2020 is going on. So you can imagine why Amazon is a market leader. So this is the growth of Amazon in terms of billion and trillion industry, from billion to trillion industry. In 2013, it was 1.3 trillion uh, enterprise. And in 2020, can anybody tell me in 2020 what is the market share of Amazon Web Services? Can anybody tell me?
$200 billion.
How much?
$200 billion.
$200 billion, and it holds 33% share in the market. The infrastructure of Amazon holds 33% market share by the second quarter of 2020. So moving ahead, we know these services and we have discussed this S3 storage, EC2 compute, ELB load balancing, RDS, relational database, simple DB services, and many more services. This is the AWS free tier. So from the free tier, we mean that these services are available freely in these categories like EC2, Lambda, S3. You can see here this EC2 service in the compute Lambda service preview. Run code in response to event. S3 service storage gateway, the Glacier service, and Cloud Front for global content delivery network. In the administration and security, we have directory services, identity and access management. We'll discuss this topic of identity and access management in detail. It is in our syllabus. Next is trusted advisor, that is cloud optimization expert. Next is cloud trail, user activity and change tracking. So this cloud trail is basically concerned with tracking of the user and their changing tracks, and all the information retained by the cloud trail. Configuration services, resource configurations and inventory. This is also a preview service. CloudWatch monitoring, resource and application monitoring services. What people in your organization is doing through AWS is being managed through the CloudWatch service. That is basically how they are utilizing the resources, and how applications are monitored is through the CloudWatch service. Next is application services. SQS service, message queue service, simple. SWS workflow services for coordinating. Application stream services, elastic transcoder, easy to use scalable media transcoding. Email sending services like SES, cloud search, managed search services. And we know DynamoDB, Elastic Cache, Redshift. Redshift is very popular service and this redshift comes in exam also. You must study this. Will study this redshift in detail. Redshift is managed petabyte scale data warehouse service. Next is elastic beanstalk, related to development and management. Cloud formation operational development applications management service. Code deploy service is automated deployment of the code. Next is mobile services, Cognito. We know what is Cognito. Can anybody tell me this? What is this services? This service, Cognito, in the mobile? Have Has anybody used this Cognito service? This is basically related to identity management, and you can hide your identity using this Cognito, and it provides application data synchronization also. Next is mobile analytics, SNS, push notification services. Next, here you can see the enterprise application workspaces, desktops in the cloud, Zocalo. Here, analytics services. In the analytics, we have big data, data pipelines, EMR, manager Hadoop framework, Kinesis, and the networking, virtual private cloud, direct connect, route 53, 53 जिसको बोलते हैं route 53 is this is very popular service, route 53 for networking. Scalable DNS and domain name registration is possible using this service. So these are the AWS free tier services. But these services are not always free. It depends on the time and their we can say their policies, that some of the services are free now, they may be paid after 1 month, or they may be asking you for to pay for those services that you have utilized. So before utilizing those services, always see the documentation related to those services before availing such services that are free. Free usage restrictions. Amazon has restricted free usage, and you can see here for the free tier per month in the EC2, 750 hours of Amazon EC2 Linux client micro instance usage. These are the services that was free for some time, or when this slide was taken. But usually whether these services are free nowadays, you have to see on their website whether these are free and what is the restrictions applied to using those free services. So it keep on changing every day, for people to person and for organization to organization, because if you are taking the services uh, in a bulk, they will definitely give you some kind of reductions and discounts on those services also. Now next is this is an example showing application hosting in AWS. So you can very well imagine this is one of the architecture, or we can say the data center shown here of Amazon, and these are the various services that are there. So web application hosting is web. These are the web server. These are the load balancer here. This is the application server, and this is database replicas. You can see master database, database replica, and database replica. This is database has replication in the database replica in this database replica. So from this master database, there is an application server. This is basically application servers can be extended or intended from the scaled out or scaled in. So auto scaling of these thing application server is possible here. We know what is scale up and scale down. We have discussed in the cloud computing environment. These are the load balancer after the auto scaling. These represent the load balancer that are available and that are being managed using the EC2. EC2 is Elastic Compute Cloud 2. Basically, EC2 provides a compute services. And here you can see the web servers. These are the web servers after the load balancer. These provide you the web development services that you want. elastic load balancing. This is the elastic load balancing, and this is route 53. That is basically connected with the route 53 is with the networking or domain name service registration, that is through the customer. So customer can register here through the domain name. This is one. From the one it moves toward two, or it moves towards the three, four. So this way it can have various five. This way it can have access to the various services like six if you want to have this cloud front service. Seven, these are the things. Next is AWS regions. We have discussed this slide earlier. The 11 region, 28 availability zone, 1 to 6 data center, and nearly 1.4 million servers worldwide. And the global infrastructure is shown here. This picture represents the regions as well as edge locations. Now lab steps. How can you have this Amazon Web Services? How can you utilize the various services? You can log into the Amazon Web Services. You can see the architecture without logging into. You need to create, if you want to have any service, if you want to avail any service, you need to create an account. And you can create account using credit card or debit card. uh, Earlier it was possible that AWS provide education credit of $400. So this may or may this feature may or may not be available nowadays. We don't know. You can launch instance and you can have secure shell to instance for using a particular virtual machine for your work. So AWS account setup services overview. What you can do in a lab is, we are not having lab in our syllabus, but you can set up an account, can see the services, can have overview of those services, can discover the resources and instance setup. Purpose of the lab is understand the definition of various Amazon Web Services and their use in the cloud computing based web applications that are accessible over the internet through an AWS account. Use the AWS account for the discovery, reservation, and access of virtual compute storage infrastructure instances. This is one of the example deployment for platform as a service. You can see this is a user is taking EC2 service. This is elastic block storage, and this is the SQS service that it can be taken by the customer or can be used for deployment of their work. These are the EC2 elastic compute cloud. These are all. EC2 means these are the virtual machines. They are connected to the block storage. This is EC2 is connected to the block storage. This is also connected to the block storage. This is block storage. This is EC2 is block storage. These all virtual machines, EC2, EC2, the EC2, they are connected to block storages, and this block storage is further connected to Amazon S3. That is simple storage service. Here the data is simply stored in the simple storage location. What is here? There are simple hard drives that are connected, millions and trillions of drives connected, and block storage are connected to these hard drives, and these EBS are connected to the EC2, and EC2 is used in the we can say development of any kind of application. So here you can see the developer side also. Developer will interact with this simple database as well as the EC2 service for developing any application. Now AWS execution environment. So you can see on the screen is a Amazon machine image. AMI, Amazon machine images. You need to create the machine. Machine can be public AMIs, private AMIs, and paid AMIs. Public AMIs means the machine images are free. Private AMIs means they are privately owned by an organization. You cannot have access to these machines. And from the paid AMIs, we means you can pay for those machines and can utilize the services. So the execution environment is, you need to see whether these are public AMIs, private AMIs, or paid AMIs. We know that we have in the infrastructure of Amazon, there are compute devices, numbers of millions of trillions of compute devices, millions and trillions of storage devices and servers. And they are
utilize this physical infrastructure is being utilized to convert into a virtual environment using this virtualization layer. Above this layer are virtual machine. This public AMI refers to virtual machine that is public. This private AMI refers to the virtual machine that is private, and this refers to paid AMIs. AMI means basically a virtual machine is what? Virtual machine is basically a simple folder containing some software files that are located on some physical device. So we can create an image of a particular machine. If we have a virtual machine, we can create an image of that virtual machine. What is the procedure of Amazon machine image? Create an AMI. You can create the AMI. After creating AMI, create a key pair, configure the firewall, and can launch that AMI. So key pair and launching means you are creating the duplicate of those AMIs. Elastic IP address will be provided, elastic block storage will be provided. From the elastic, we mean that if a need arises, we can reduce the storage capacity of a particular virtual machine just because for load balancing and other features. So private AMIs, images created by you which are private by default, you can grant access to other user to launch your private images. Paid AMIs, this is uh, private AMI written here. This is basically a public AMI. So paid AMI, you can create images providing specific functions that can be launched by anyone willing to pay you per each hour of usage on top of the AWS charges. And the image is created by user and leads to the community. So anyone can launch instances based on them and use them any way they like. They are public. गलती से यहाँ private लिखा गया. This is public AMI. Private AMI, public AMI, and paid AMI. Now AWS access credentials. From the access credential, we mean that this how we can have access to the various application. What are the various AWS APIs? We'll discuss those APIs in the another presentation. We'll not discuss these APIs here, but we'll tell you little about the access keys. We can have a REST protocol or query protocol for various API services. So moving towards the API, before that, leaving this access credential because we'll discuss in the another presentation here. But you can have with the this how you can install your first AWS hosted web app is shown here. Install HTTP, install PHP, MySQL, and LAMP package in your instance. From the instance, we mean the virtual machine. You need to install HTTP, PHP, and MySQL and LAMP package in your instance. So you can see here that this is the instance that is created by somebody. Name your name, your PowerPrint, or this is PowerPrint refers to the password, host name, instance ID. Instance ID will mean the virtual machine ID, zone which zone you are working, and security group with you are which you are connected. You can see this is all the compute services are being provided in the Amazon, and this is the S3 management console, and this is for the compute or web hosting on the Amazon. This is a recap of the application hosting in AWS we have discussed in detail. Cost saving consideration in AWS on demand instances, reserved instances, and spot instances. What are these on demand instances, reserved instances, spot instances? From the instances, we mean virtual machines. Pay for compute capacity. On demand, you are asking on demand. Pay for compute capacity by the hour with no long-term commitments. So whenever you are demanding, that is no for no long-term commitment, you are making that I need particular virtual machine for 4 years. This is not the case. You are demanding because you need that instant right now. You can release that instant whenever you are finished with your work. That is pay for compute capacity by the hour, जितने hours आपने use किया, with no longer commitments. Reserved instances. Make a low one-time payment for each instance you want to reserve. You can reserve the instances. because it may be possibility whenever you are logging into the Amazon web services, some instances will not be available because they may be occupied by some other people. If you want to reserve instances for your work, you can have reserved instances, and you can reserve the instance and in turn receive a significant discount on the hourly charge of for that instance. If you are reserving instances before using, then you will get a discount on the hourly charge of that instance. But if you are demanding at a particular time, they will charge you per hour according to their on demand instance rate. Next is the spot instances. Bid on unused EC2 capacity instances. There is bidding of instances also. So spot instances are those instances that are we are bidding on unused capacity and run those instances for as long as their bid exceeds the current spot price. For we can use those services as per the bid amount. So bidding exceed the current spot price. Before bidding exceeds the current spot price, you can use that service, and that kind of instances are called spot instance. For these are some of the links that are given here for studying the scalability, stack exchange, performance, and other web services, Amazon web services, and their best practices uh, that are shown here in the link. You can refer to this link for various AWS cloud best practices. Before utilizing those services, you need to study this article, AWS cloud best practices. Now, next topic is APIs. Next is APIs, cloud APIs. Before that, we'll have one quiz here. We'll discuss the quiz, and after that, we move towards APIs. And we'll answer these questions, and after that, we'll discuss cloud APIs topic. I'll launch this poll again for you because I came to know that one or the two questions are related to the APIs in this quiz. So we'll launch this poll again, and we'll uh, um, give you time to answer the questions. Now moving towards cloud APIs. Cloud application programming interface. What is that? It is basically is a type of API that enables the development of applications and services
used for the provisioning of cloud hardware, software, and platform. Cloud APIs allows administrator to integrate application and other workload into the cloud. So basically, what is the role of API? It is providing interface to the application programming interface that enables the development of application and services and used for provisioning of cloud hardware, software, and platform. That is the concern of the API. This is the API and how it fits in the framework is shown in the diagram here. A cloud application programming interface is a type of API, as I told you, is an application service used for provisioning. A cloud API is the core component behind any public cloud solution and is generally based primarily on the REST and SOAP frameworks. These are the two frameworks on which cloud APIs is based, REST and SOAP. We'll discuss what is REST and SOAP, as well as clause platform and vendor specific APIs are also there. Cloud APIs vary according to the provided service or solution. So it depends on whether you are taking infrastructure as a service, whether you are utilizing software as a service, or whether you are on the platform as a service. So API differ from infrastructure as a service to platform as a service to software as a service. In case of infrastructure APIs provision raw computing and storage. In case of software as a service, it provides connectivity and interaction with the software suite. In case of platform as a service, it provides platform APIs for providing backend and architecture for building intensive and feature-rich applications. So these are the examples for cloud infrastructure APIs, service APIs, and application APIs. So you can see for the infrastructure APIs, like we have Amazon, Google, IBM, Azure. They are providing uh, interface for application development, and they are providing infrastructure for application development. That is called infrastructure APIs, basically. Next is service API, like database, messaging, web portals, mapping, e-commerce, and storage are service APIs that are being provided. And next is application APIs, like Google Map APIs, APIs connect to applications such as like CRM, ERP, content resource management, enterprise resource planning, social media, and help desk. These are the application APIs that are provided by the cloud. Now next is the protocol used in the cloud APIs. These represent the list of protocols that we use in the APIs. The REST protocol, SOAP protocol, XML protocol, this others, and JavaScript. These are the XML RPCs, remote procedure call, are the other APIs that are available in the cloud cloud environment. This is a data format that are used in the cloud APIs. You can see XML, JSON, other CSV and PHP are the data format that are used in the this cloud APIs basically. Now auth, what is auth? Auth is basically a protocol that is used. We'll study that what protocol in detail. And here you can see on the screen, auth is a protocol that is used for identity management. OAuth, authorization protocol. So this is an example how you can have access to the web application servers or database using the auth protocol. So we'll study that and that is part of the fourth part of your syllabus. We'll discuss that. Now another thing is why APIs resembles SaaS. APIs are called, they resemble as a software as a service, because this is shown in the diagram here that like you can integrate on behalf of enterprise or user through auth or REST. Like this is SaaS A and SaaS B. They want to integrate. They can integrate on behalf of enterprise user through
auth and rest protocol. Auth and rest are two protocols for that provides identity management and confidentiality. And other way of interacting of SaaS A with SaaS B is through the this enterprise users subscribing to SaaS A and B. First of all, SaaS A is interacting with this user, and this user will authenticate, authorize that this is the right person that is interacting to the SaaS B. That is the other way for uh, interacting. So APIs, application programming interface, and SaaS resemble in one way or the other. They are equal for providing the cloud computing, authorization, and data exchange using the protocols. Next is, uh, now we'll have a poll here, and after that answer these questions. Pay for compute capacity by the hour with no long-term commitments. Whether it's on-demand instances, whether it's reserved instances or spot instances. Next is Dash, that enables the development of applications services used for provisioning of cloud, hardware, software, and platform, whether it's multi-tenancy or APIs. Next is example of infrastructure APIs, whether it's CRM, ERP, or Amazon Google. All are required to answer these questions. Answer these questions. I'm ending the poll here in 20 seconds. Kindly answer these questions. I'm again repeating. Pay for compute capacity by the hour with no long-term commitment. What is the answer? On-demand instances,
reserved instances or spot instances. Next is dash that enables the development of application and services used for provisioning of cloud hardware, software, and platforms, whether it's APIs or multi-tenancy. Next is examples of infrastructure APIs. We have just discussed the infrastructure APIs and service APIs. What is the answer to this question of infrastructure API? Whether it's Amazon, Google, ERP, Amazon, Google, or CRM, ERP. So I am ending the poll here. You can see the result and we'll discuss these things. First is pay for compute capacity by the hour with no long-term commitment. Answer is on-demand instances. We have discussed this thing. Next is dash that enables the development of application and services used for provisioning of cloud hardware, software, and platform that are called APIs, that is application programming interfaces. Next is infrastructure APIs. Amazon, Google are the infrastructure APIs. So these are the results. Now there is another quiz related to cloud APIs. Answer this question. Protocol used in cloud APIs. Which one is a protocol that is used in the cloud API? And can anybody tell me what is the full form of that protocol? Of that API. Whether it's REST or RST. Last 10 seconds. I'm ending this poll here, and after that, nobody will be able to answer these questions. Kindly answer if you know the answer. So, the protocol used in cloud API basically it's a software architectural style, and that is REST. REST stand for REST. REST stand for representational state transfer. And this is architectural style that defines a set of constraints to be used for creating web services. It defines a set of constraints to develop any web services, and that is why it is called this cloud API. That web services that conforms to the REST architectural style are called RESTful web services. It provides interoperability between computer system on the internet. RESTful web services allow requesting system to access and manipulate textual representation of web resources. So this is the answer to the REST. So answer is REST, representational state transfer. Now moving ahead, uh, uh, can you see Amazon Web Services? Everybody can see this screen here of Amazon Web Services.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So you can see here what we have discussed today is the link to this is aws.amazon.com, and you can create account by creating here, create an AWS account. If you have already created account, you can log into that also. And you can see here there are different tabs related to products. They provide, AWS provide solutions, pricing, documentation, learning, partner networks, marketplace, customer enablement, events, and many more things related to that. Before moving further, we'll discuss the products. So in the product section, you can see the featured services that are available in the Amazon that we have discussed. We cannot discuss each and every service, but you can see here, you can see the core services. The feature services means the core services that are being used by various customer or organization, and very much popular among the developers. So feature services includes Amazon EC2 virtual servers in the cloud, Amazon Simple Storage Service, as I have discussed with you, that is called S3 service. Amazon Aurora High Performance Managed Relational Database, Amazon DynamoDB, Amazon RDS Relational Database Service, AWS Lambda for running code without thinking about servers, Amazon VPC Virtual Private Cloud, Isolated Cloud Resources, Amazon Lightsail, Amazon SageMaker, and many more. These are the feature services. On the left hand side, you can see they have categorized the services according to their field. Like for analytics, what are the various services, what are the services available, application and integration, for AWS cost management, blockchain, business application. In the compute, you can see the Amazon EC2. As I already told you, this is a very much popular services in service in the EC2. Next is the container services. These are some of the container services that are available. We'll study what are containers also. Customer engagement database. You can see here the list of all the database services that are available. Amazon Neptune, QLDB, and I know Amazon DynamoDB, RDS, RDS on VMware. These are the services they have categorized into different fields like end user computing, game technology, IoT services. You can see here IoT, one click IoT, AWS IoT, analytics, IoT button, IoT core, every kind of, if people are interested in developing any kind of IoT service or using any kind of IoT service, they can utilize the service from here. So machine learning, they have another tab like Amazon SageMaker, augmented AI, Code Guru, Comprehend, Elastic Inference, Forecast, Fraud Detector, migration and transfer, media services like these are the some of the media services that are available. Mobile services we have discussed like API gateway, Amazon API gateway, Amplify, Pinpoint. Before using, always remember one thing before using this any kind of service like if we discuss like compute, Amazon EC2, and I can click on this Amazon EC2, this service will open up and they will give you a detailed overview how can you use this service and what are the things available. But before using any kind of service on Amazon or on another side like Azure, this is Azure here, we'll discuss about Azure also, but before moving toward Azure, we are discussing AWS. So before using any kind of service, you need to see the payment options or the per hour charges, because these the all the services may not be free for your use. So they have to these are this Allergen and Airbnb are the customers that are using these AWS EC2 services. Airbnb and Allergen are the customer of these services. So they have explained is what is EC2, how many people are using it, and how these services can be availed, and what are based on the, they have written here based on downtime hours from this, and this pulled directly from the public service health dashboard.
So you can have this service if you want to have virtual computer. You want to establish a virtual computer for developing any kind of application on your end, but you are not having that much of infrastructure. You can take this Amazon EC2 service for creating a we can say creating a high end server on your side. On you, just through a login you can create a high end server on your side in which you can run application and develop number of things. This is the concern here. This is called Amazon EC2 service, that is a very much popular and featured service. So these are the solutions service by use case, by industry and organization type. Pricing, learn about AWS pricing. From the pricing you can learn which services are paid and which are free. This is Amazon free tier. As we were discussing free tier services, this is the free tier. You need to create a free tier account, gain free hand-on experience with the AWS platform products and services. Types of offers they have. What is the things that are available? Always free, 12-month free, trial free, and 70 hours. Amazon EC2 is free, like as I told you. Amazon S3 5 GB is free. Amazon RDS 750 hours. These are the services that are free, and you need to study their documentation before availing the any kind of service in the Amazon. This is a free tier. Student can go through this free tier service and can have access to any kind of EC2 service or simple storage service or relational database server or any DynamoDB service or SageMaker or Lambda service. Number of services are here in the free trial tier. Amazon CloudWatch, API Gateway, Application Stream, Basic, 1 GB, 50 GB, Cognito service, and comprehend medical. So these are the free tier services. So we were here in the pricing. Optimize your cost, calculate your savings. So what are the pricing module? Like if we click on the AWS pricing, or do you pay to AWS? Pay as you go, save when you reserve, pay less using more. So this is all about paying. Next is the documentation. So you can view the documentation for the popular services like EC2, simple storage services, command line interface, CloudFront, identity and access management, and RDS. We'll click on the Amazon EC2 because we are concerned with the virtual machine or compute cloud. So this is a user guide for Linux instances. If you want to create a Linux instance on your system, on your physical machine, you can have PDF file of this. This is available on Kindle also. If you want to run instance in the window instance, you can have this PDF of how you can use this service. And these are the API references and other things available for utilizing the Amazon EC2 service or Linux or window instance. Before using any kind of service, you need to study the PDF file or the documentation related to that service. This is Amazon EC2 auto scaling option service. So this way you can have migrating to Amazon EC2. VM import export means how you can export or import a virtual machine from one server to other. For that they have a documentation. So this is a documentation available for importing and exporting the virtual machines. This is all about today's lecture about Amazon Web Services, about multi-tenancy, and the third is APIs. Thank you, students. Thank you very much.